Hey, what's good everybody? It's me here, Professor Zach, and I am back with more Doctor Who. This week's episode of Doctor Who is Dot and Bubble. But before we go ahead and hop into this very interesting episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit us up. Check us out at the Night Shift Bands on all podcasts and platforms, as well as our sister podcast, Perspectives Discussions, where we talk love, life, and relationships. Also, please donate to us. All links in the description below. But as of right now, we're going to go ahead and have a little bit of a discussion of this week's Doctor Who episode, Dot and Bubble, which, non-spoiler review real quick. Interesting episode. I don't know if this will go down for me as like an episode I'll go back to. I think I will, because there's a lot of just subtlety in this episode that's very interesting. I found this episode to be, of course, a commentary on social media and whatnot. Of course, you know, every sci-fi show kind of tackles that these days. Of course, everyone's comparing that Black Mirror episode, where they were getting the likes and whatnot. I forgot the name of it, but ultimately, this definitely didn't feel like a Doctor Who episode. It felt more like a, I guess, yeah, really a Black Mirror episode, or like just a different type of sci-fi show. Mainly probably because of the colors and how it was set up, and you know, that everything just felt too perfect to me. I guess you could say that. I guess I'll say that, which I'll dive into that a little bit more later on. But everything here just felt hella perfect. You know, from our main character, Lindy, you know, how the social media worked in this world, even how the real world looked itself. It just felt a little bit too perfect, which is probably the point, right? But you know, just so we go ahead and hop into details here. If you haven't watched the episode, go ahead and watch it. And yeah, check it out. And it's a good episode. Don't miss out on it. So to hop into spoilers here, yeah, Dot and Bubble. So again, like I stated before, it's a commentary on social media and how we can become over obsessed in social media, because in this world, at least in this side of the world, maybe even on another planet, haha, everyone's obsessed with social media. As soon as you wake up, you can command your little AI called Dot to turn on your social media. They call it Fine Time, I believe. I think that's what the world itself is called. Fine Time is where they stay at, and through that they have a bubble where they can literally talk with their friends, look up other influencers or content creators in an instant. You know. It's funny as hell because in this world, they literally work 2 hours out of the day, and they for the rest of the day they work, you know. And I don't know how, if she mentioned how many days out the week they do this, but I assume it's probably like 2 days out the week you work 2 hours a day, you know. So this is literally designed for people to be on social media all the time. Like literally, the AI instructs them on how to walk, even just to get out of a building, you know. Like I get GPS and all of that, but do you really need GPS to walk out of a building? Apparently, these guys do, as we see later on in the episode, you know. But ultimately, we do have our main character, Lindy, and and just like with most social media names, like everyone's name is here is just ridiculous. Cause what was Lindy's last name? Lindy's last name, I think, was like Lindy Peppermint or something like that. It was something crazy and just cutesy, and you know, you got people here with all kinds of names and whatnot, especially like the guy that she falls, I don't say falls in love with, but that she meets that helps get her out later on. And Okay, so the cool thing about this episode is that it does take place from, you can say Lindy's perspective, because we only see the Doctor and Ruby within these little windows within the bubble. Again, characters the characters use this bubble that they walk around with. It's literally wrapped around their heads. They use this for social media to talk to their other friends. So of course the Doctor and Ruby, they pop up within the windows and they try to contact Lindy. And of course the Doctor tries to do it first. No avail. Hell, Lindy blocks him. Keep that in mind. And Ruby tries to convince her. Now, she doesn't block Ruby, but Ruby does do some convincing, saying like, hey, look, I'm with so-and-so, I just need to ask you a couple of questions and do this. And it goes on from there. We find out that due to the fact that the humans on this planet completely rely on their AI to navigate them even within small spaces, you realize like, oh, you guys aren't really looking at where you're going. It's the dot that's telling you where to go, but you don't realize where you're going at all. So what happens is that there's these slug monsters that's eating up the people of this planet, and they don't realize it until, of course, you're within the jaws of these slug monsters. Oh no, I lost communication. That's trash. Well, I'll keep talking as I'm doing the review. But yeah, like, they don't know that they're walking into these slug monsters because they really can't see behind the veil that is their social media, behind the veil that is the bubble. So while they're chit-chatting to their friends, talking about stupid stuff and whatnot, they're guiding them into these slugs, and then they get ate up. So it's quite interesting because in terms of like what folks have done in here, like they reveal all their information to their friends and they say, hey, like, you know, this, that, and the other, and they just keep talking. Again, not really looking at what they're doing. So they're completely, literally reliant on their AI and social media to even live their life. Now, if I could go ahead and hop ahead a little bit here, once Lindy gets a hold of what's going on, we begin to realize, yo, you can't really navigate without your AI. Because once the Doctor and Ruby convince her to take down her bubble and to actually look and try to find her way around, these people must have only been using their AI, their dots, since they've been born, because she can't even navigate on her own accord. It's almost like that part of her brain wouldn't help her navigate it. It can't help her navigate at all. It's almost like it has been developed because the AI's been doing it for you your whole damn life, right? So it's kind of interesting. Like, I know a few people said like, oh, that's more on the nose. Like, okay, you're just saying that people rely on their social medias and their phones too much, so they'll forget how to do menial tasks, which is true. Like, I won't lie, technology has spoiled us. Technology has spoiled us a lot, and you know, there are some skills that don't exist no more, you know. So it's very interesting, that commentary, and I get where they're going from it. A little bit on the nose for me, but I'll be honest with you, it does serve a good purpose. You know, it does serve a purpose in what they do in that commentary. So, but anyway, they do, we do get a sense of like who Lindsay is, and like, you know, this girl does care for her friends, but you begin to realize that not everything seems to be kosher here. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a few people like who's like, yeah, well, not a few people, but Lindy starts to show some undesirable traits in some cases, and like I said, it's very subtle. This episode is very subtle because you don't really see. It's not really spoken out loud as to who Lindy really is herself, unless you're paying attention, right? And since we're hopping into spoilers, I'll go ahead and say it. Lindy is not too fond of black people, and her other friends aren't too fond of black people either. So what happens is that throughout the episode, they're dropping little hints like how all of Lindy's friends are white, which again, you're not really thinking about that, right? At least I wasn't. I wasn't thinking about like all her friends being white. I wasn't thinking about really much of anything like in regards to racism being a thing in this show. But again, the hints were always there, from her blocking the doctor to again all her friends being white to little comments she made about the doctor as well. So it's just kind of interesting how subtly they've done all that. But anyway, going back to Lindy and how she was trying to navigate through the world without her bubble. It's pretty interesting to see just her try to do this on her own. And again, she's brave and she's doing it, but it is due to the help of one of the influencers that she follows and she runs into that helps her actually navigate without her bubble, you know? So like, Lindy Pepperbean, that's what her name was, Lindy Pepperbean. It was something just cutesy. But yeah, back to what we're talking about, you know, so the influencer's name is Ricky September, right? Ricky September is an influencer. She's been following herself and she loves it. And I guess his whole thing is that like he sings or mouths the words to certain songs. Like he was, like when we first introduced to this character again on social media, he's singing, "It's a teeny weeny something mini yellow polka dot bikini," like that song. It's been a while since I've heard that song, but it's like he's singing that song when we're first introduced to him, and of course she likes him. So fast forward to like when she has to navigate without the bubble, he helps her by giving her instructions. And come to find out, Ricky actually puts the phone down. He puts the bubble down and says that, yo, you know, like I actually read history books. I actually have read books on whatnot. And he's actually well educated in the outside world. So he doesn't really need the bubble to navigate because guess what? He's been navigating on his own accord. So, come to find out, Ricky's a great guy. So, the reason why, you know, the Doctor and Ruby need Lindy to, of course, get out of there is because they're trying to save her, and they have to get to this get to this place where there's a lot of other survivors where they'll take a boat and go off into the place outside of the city. I forget the exact name, but the point is that like they're on a journey to escape these slugs. And that's where the Doctor and Ruby's guiding them. Or at least Lindy in this case. Because honestly, Ricky seems like he'll be fine. He'll get there okay even without Lindy. You know? So, to me, it's just... Ricky comes off as like a genuine guy. I won't lie. He comes off as a really genuine guy. So, for me, it's kind of cool just seeing him help her and everything like that. But unfortunately, in the midst of helping Lindy, later on Lindy betrays him. And sets him up. Because one of the biggest mysteries of this episode is the fact that the slugs are killing people. Some people will leave it alone, some people they're not. They're killing people in alphabetical order. Because come to find out, the AI hate the humans, have learned to hate the humans so much, they became sentient and created these slugs to eat them. So the AI, so literally the dots is guiding the humans into these slugs, so they could be eaten and destroyed. Now, at first, like I said, before I revealed the big twist, you feel bad for the humans. Then you find out that they're a bunch of racists and they're a bit uppity. And keep in mind here, this is a whole city full of like rich people, i.e. rich kids, like literally rich kids. So I get why the AI is mad at them. Hell, they talk about the homeworld so much, but then you see a video of the homeworld and the slugs took it over. Like literally, the slugs killed all the humans. So we have the last of humanity on this fine time planet, which is hilarious. But yeah, so like Lindy sets up Ricky, Ricky dies, and then that's like our first actual take of our first actual proof that okay, Lindy isn't like who she presents herself to be or who we perceive her to be. That automatically tells you that, oh, you're selfish because you betrayed someone you, I guess, admired at one point. And then, you know, you go down to the boat, meet up with your other friends. Doc comes over saying, hey, I can help you guys. You know, because if you guys go out there, if you guys get on that boat, you're going to die. You all can't survive. But they don't take the doctor's help because guess what? He's black. And they don't take help from black people. Literally saying, and because Lindy said like, look, from screen to screen is fine, but face to face, that's a big no-no. No. So full racism, just staying a hold to those old ways. I think even one of the characters, one of Lindy's friends said something along the lines of, ladies don't look at them, you'll be contaminated. And it's like, bruh, I thought this was the future. That's like some shit you'll hear in like the 1920s, like what the hell, you know? So, it's pretty funny how they just, it's like old school racism in the future. And you guys are like the last of humanity, so you would think that y'all would get your act together, which I don't know if they believe them. No, they did. They do know that they're the last of humanity. And honestly, they took that news very well, surprisingly. Cause baby girl, like Lindy said, oh, mommy's in the sky. She's so lucky. And I'm just like, oh, okay, you're taking that very well, Lindy. So it's just, if you want to break this episode down, it's almost like everyone stays in social media land. They stay within their bubble, of course. Like all day, every day, that nothing to them is really real. They don't perceive things as being real. So it's interesting, that commentary. Now that I'm like talking about it like out loud, it's like, of course, no wonder everything just seems a little bit fake. No wonder why everyone just seems so happy or prissy or whatever. Because none of this is real to you. You stay in your bubble all the time, and then on top of that, you're rich. Y'all are a bunch of rich kids. So y'all don't really know what real life is. You know, not saying that most rich kids don't, because I do know a couple of rich kids who are pretty great, and they do know how to take care of themselves. But it's like some rich kids, they just stay in their own. They don't know how it is for the rest of the world outside of their own bubbles. And then we add social media on top of that. I get why they act the way that they do here. At first, when I watched the episode, the racism just seemed to came out of nowhere. But then once I got keen and actually like analyzing the episode, I'm like, oh, it's always been there. It's just been subtle as hell. Like this episode has a lot of things that are just extremely subtle. And you don't realize it until you either do a second watching or just think about it. It's like, oh, okay. Like, the racism was always there. They were giving you clues as to what kind of person Lindy was. like literally when she was quick to, like when she was quick to block the Doctor, but not Ruby. Granted, she met them both with animosity, but she was real quick to block the Doctor, who's black. But you weren't quick to block Ruby, who's white. You know, like you spoke to the Doctor in outright disrespect, and then again, you don't really think about it because even Doc like doesn't really call her out on it. Hell, like at Doc is a Time Lord, so in his society they move beyond race, gender, and all of that. You know, they said that themselves, right? So he's probably hearing it, but not thinking about it. Then on top of that, in terms of him, in terms of his skin tone, at least starting from William Hartnell, which is, you know, that's where the Doctor starts for us. If we're not even ignoring the Timeless Child, we don't apply the Timeless Child. This is the first time he's been a black man, at least again before his memory was white, before the William Hartnell years, and before all the Timeless Child stuff. So the fact that like after after 14 regenerations, you're actually a black person, and then now you're facing racism because of your skin tone. To him, he's probably not even thinking about it. He's probably like, oh, wait, okay. I guess I would have to be aware of that now. But again, his society advanced so far that's not even affected him. He literally tells them like, yo, you can have whatever ideology you want, let me save you. And they still go on the boat, and they still go off and die. I mean, we don't see them on screen die, but it's implied that they will die. So, it's funny. It's interesting, because, like, I get the Doctor's frustration in the end, because they much rather go off on their own than get help from someone who already proved to them, at least to Lindy, who already proved to Lindy that I can help you. I can get you out of this situation. But again, Lindy is that character where she's selfish, essentially. Like, you see that fact that she's selfish, like, people who are under her, quote unquote, are just meant to help her. People like what she did with Ricky. Like, Ricky didn't deserve to die. Ricky helped you out this whole thing, and without him you wouldn't be here. But once you get to the finish line, it's like, oh nope, I'll let the AI kill you, because the AI kill her, because again we're killing all the humans in alphabetical order. And then she revealed Ricky's real name, thus the AI offed her, and she escaped. So this episode was just interesting in that sense. Like, the twist in the end was just it was interesting, you know. It was the fact that like she did what she did. It's ridiculous. Sorry about that, guys. The fact that she did what she did was just ridiculous. And I'm just like, you know what? Completely understandable. I'm like, hey, if you don't want help from the Doc, hey, just leave it at that, Doc. And this is definitely an episode I'm going to have to watch again just to see the subtleties. Just to see all the subtleties within it, you know? Because it blows my mind literally how subtle this episode was. Extremely subtle. I'm pretty sure there's other hints as to what goes on in the ending. But it's an extremely subtle episode. Just want to give a special shout out to Ncuti Gatwa, again, the Doctor. And just when he cries in the end, not really cries, but when he cries in frustration. This is a very emotional Doctor, I'm noticing. But Ncuti Gatwa, I don't know, he needs an award or something. It kind of makes me want to watch Sex Education just for him. Because if he's this good in Doctor Who, I want to see how good his acting is in Sex Education. You know, because he's been killing it when it comes to a lot of the serious parts. So we're gonna see. So we're gonna see where this takes them, and I can't wait for the next episode and see where that goes. Cause yeah, we're gonna go to Bridgerton, baby. I don't watch Bridgerton, but everyone makes a reference to Bridgerton, and I guess the Brits love them some Bridgerton. But yeah, like I can't wait for that episode. That's the episode, since I've seen it in the trailers, I've been waiting for, because I'm like, what's gonna happen here? What's really gonna happen? I can't wait. It's the penultimate episode. Might get another god, who knows? Because yeah, we've kind of been like just doing regular Doctor Who adventures the last couple of episodes. So let's see what's going on here with that. But yeah, like that's all I have to really say about Doctor Who, about this episode. Good episode. I liked it. Definitely gonna do a rewatch. But you know what? You all please definitely like, share, and subscribe. Hit us up. Check us out. The Night Shift Band is on all podcasting platforms. Hit us. Please definitely donate to us. And yeah, I'll be back with more Doctor Who reviews. You know, so go ahead and check out our other Let's Plays. Everything's fun. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.